Let me walk you through the online environment for English 102, Introduction to Literature. And if you're familiar with Canvas, it's going to make a lot of sense. If you're not so familiar with Canvas, it probably won't be that difficult. Okay, so I've designed it in such a way for it to be pretty user-friendly. I do have to take care of a few more things as of today on the first day. I got to get a couple more things in place. But overall, the structure is there and everything's ready to go. Okay, but I want to walk you through the structure in Canvas, but I also want to walk you through the syllabus so you have some idea of what the requirements are in the course. Okay, first, let me shrink myself up. There we go. Works every time. And this is what you'll go to when you click on the card and it takes you to the home page. It takes you to this drawing, and that's a drawing by Blake. And here we have the first unit. This is going to be on Old English and Medieval Literature. And if you click on her, she will take you to week 1. Now on next Monday, if you click on her, she'll take you to week 2. And so will this link here. Now in the third week, I'll turn on Shakespeare. And if you click on him in the third week, he will take you to the third week. And if you click on him in the fourth week, he'll take you there. And so each one of these links on the front, these images, will take you to whichever week we are in as we're working through the course. Now, something to notice about this, there are 3 images with links. There are going to be 3 units. We're going to do the Old English and Medieval unit first, and then we're going to do the Renaissance one. We're going to focus on Shakespeare and on Midsummer Night's Dream. And then we're going to do the American and World Literature, the last one, where we get closer to the American literature and into the 20th century. Okay. And once again, once we get to the 5th and 6th week, you click on them. That's Walt Whitman and Emily Dickinson. And they will hold hands and take you on to week 5 and then to week 6. And now, if you keep scrolling down, what you're going to see is this. This is the weekly calendar. This is week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, week 5. If we're in week 3, you can still access week 1. You can come here. Now, in week 3, if you click on this, it'll take you to Shakespeare. How do you get back to week 1? You come back down here and click on that. Okay? So this is how you backtrack, is through the weekly calendar. I will be turning these on as we work through the course. Okay? So everything you need will be in whichever page we go to, whatever week we're in, it will be there. So I'll come back and click on her and she'll take us to week 1, and that's got all the assignments. Okay? And so these are the places you'll go in order to navigate basically if you're moving along at good speed, this is where you're going to go. Okay, so next week you'll come here, click on her, she'll take you to week 2. Okay, click on him, you can come to him on week 3, and he'll take you to week 3 when we get to that. Okay, and here's where you do the backtracking. And here are the office hours. Now I'm normally going to be here right after my morning class. I will come into my office and I'll click on this and turn on the Zoom. If you need to talk to me, you can come in here, click on the Zoom, and that's probably one of the better ways to come visit me, is to come in here, click on the Zoom, and you can get a hold of me. The other way to get a hold of me, which is in most cases probably the best way to communicate on anything that's not really pressing, is with the inbox over here. Using the inbox is a good way to get in touch with me because I just go through my emails and respond to them one at a time. I should get back to you within 24 hours and probably quicker, but if you send a message on, I was wondering about this, I was thinking about that, what about this, send it to me through the inbox and I should get back to you again in 24 hours. Okay. The other way to work through the class, either way is perfectly legit. This is the Pages method of working through the class. What you can also do, and what probably most of you are comfortable with, is working through the modules right here. This is probably more often what you did in other classes. Okay, so if you click on that, where it will take you is this. These are the modules for the course. And I've only just opened up the course, And so you only have week 1 ready for you, okay? And this is the orientation where you can see my office hours, where you can see the syllabus and things like that, information for students and things of that nature, and Canvas, how this works, okay? So if you're curious about Canvas, this is a good link to follow because there's a number of videos that show you how this and that work. Canvas is something that is used throughout the state, not just in the community college system, but the CSU and UC systems use it. So it's a good idea to be pretty darn familiar with it. And what you see in week 1 are the recordings. I'm going to be adding a few more recordings to this list. So this one is the readings. This is a PDF. You do not need to purchase any separate books for this class. It's always going to be available in the PDF right here. Okay. The other thing is when you see a link like this, this is a link to the Fall of Civilizations, which is really, when you're starting out this class, this is the first thing you should go through. It does a verbal history of the English language and what was going on as Rome fell and Old English started to take root. Okay, it really is more of a historical podcast is what it is. But go through it, it'll give you a very good idea of what kind of society was forming around Beowulf, our first reading. It is pretty time consuming, but it is excellent, excellent history. Okay, it is one of the finest pieces of history I've ever seen on it, listened to, or read. He is very knowledgeable. He is very good with the archaeology and everything else. It is a little bit time consuming, but it is an excellent history on the language and on the history of the people who would eventually compose Beowulf. Okay, I do want you to go through this quiz. This will be the first one, and then this one after you've read The Wanderer. I will have a video posted on The Wanderer very soon. Okay, and then we will have a quiz on Beowulf and his battle with Grendel. And so try to get to these fairly soon, early on this week. I will need to get some videos posted where I'll record them on both The Wanderer and on Beowulf. The English Origins quiz you will be able to do perfectly well after the Fall of Civilizations. You don't need to take notes on this. I would just ask that you listen to it attentively. Don't be talking to somebody else while you're listening to it. Stay focused on this. But listen to it and follow along, and you will get a very good sense of overall what was going on at this time. For most people, it's quite strange. Okay, you'll get a little bit of a better idea of Lord of the Rings and other things from this because Tolkien was an Old English scholar, and so he based much of it on his own studies and teaching on Old English. So no matter, this will give you a very good sense of the civilization, but also what they were facing as Beowulf was being composed. And this is going to be the early draft. Now hold off on this until we get there. Okay, we will start this early draft at the end of the week. If you don't touch it until Friday, you're in great shape. On Friday, we'll jump in and do the early draft. I do need to show you a little bit of how it works. So hold off on the early draft. Make sure I would wait at least until Thursday, if not until Friday, to jump in on that. But then we'll go jump right in. Okay. So let me go back to the, this will take you to the web page. This will take you, well, let me go back to the home. And so you see it. This is he's going to take you to the syllabus if you want him to. If you click on this, it will take you to the syllabus. Or if you want me to go here, you can go either way. Okay. Now, if we click on her, she'll take us to week 1. If I click on this, it'll take us to week 1. If I click on this, it'll take us to week 1. I'll click on this one. So notice there's a number of paths to get to the same location. Okay. Here is week 1. Okay. And here are the readings right here. And I'll open this in a moment. And this is where I will give an introduction to medieval literature. I'll get that posted in a moment. This is the Roman Britain discussion. It is not an action-packed documentary with sword fights and everything else. It's actually very slow-moving, but incredibly well-researched. He really is a fine historian. He does do other cultures, but he is a fine historian, especially in this one in Roman Britain. He's put together a magnificent piece. It is a little bit long. It does take an hour, but it will give you a great sense of Old English society. And you will also kind of get a good idea of what's going on with The Lord of the Rings and Hobbit and things like that. You'll get a sense of where it came from. And again, Tolkien was an Old English scholar. He was a professor at Oxford in Old English. And this is the time period that he was writing about. And it's a little bit odd. If you thought it was about castles and knights in armor, no, it wasn't like that. Before 1066, things were dramatically different. And that's the time period that Beowulf came out of. It was composed around 700 to 800 and was ultimately put to writing around 800. We're not sure. Okay, but this will give you a better sense of what was going on. And I really want to emphasize it had very little to do with castles and Knights of the Round Table, and had much more to do with tribal affiliations and other things, which is what you're going to encounter in Beowulf. So go through this. And again, I will be posting more videos here, but I want to emphasize something. Let me jump back over here. Let me jump to the modules. Any video I make will be there in the page or here in the modules. Usually most students who are working on their phones like to work from the modules. Usually most students who work on their computers like to work on the pages. So it's more visual. You can do either one. But this is a little bit of a strain on the phone, but you can do it on your computer. Okay, up to you. So I'll be posting the video lessons here. The readings are here. I will come back to that in a moment. And here are the quizzes right here. Again, all of these quizzes are posted in the modules. All of the quizzes are here on the pages, and the discussions are here. Every assignment will be both in the pages and in the modules. You can work either way. And a good way to keep track of them is to follow the grades as you go through. All the assignments, as you take care of them, will enter a grade within a day or so. If I have to grade it, I will usually get it graded within a day or so. Many times with the quizzes and things like that, the grades entered almost immediately. So to keep track of your assignments, it's a good idea to keep an eye on your grades. If anything's missing, they'll tell you, or it'll tell you right away. Here's the essay assignment and the early draft. Again, I want to emphasize, hold off on this until you get the reading done. Okay? Hold off on the essay until we get the reading done. Okay? I'll come back to that in a later video. Okay? But let me go up here to the readings. If we click on this, what will happen is it will download a PDF. I would strongly urge you to load it onto your computer. Download it and put it onto your computer. What you can do is right here, above me, you'll see the download. Download it and then go through it. What it is 2 readings. And this is from the Bayeux Tapestry, when William the Conqueror showed up. And you'll get a little bit of that I will go over William the Conqueror, but you'll also get a sense of what the Old English world was like from the recording. Okay, let me come up here. Here's The Wanderer, and I will be making a video that walks through this. It's a shorter poem that was written around the time of Beowulf, and it shows how they used alliteration. Off to the wanderer, the weary of exile, cometh God's pity, compassionate love, regular rhythm. Notice the repetition of the sounds throughout that goes on here. And you'll just get a sense of it from The Wanderer. It's a very compelling poem. And it gives a sense of what they were facing. It's it's short, but it will go through things. It isn't exciting, but it gives you a sense of what they were facing as their culture was coming apart. Okay? Now, the second part of this, which is a lot longer than the first, is Beowulf. We're going to use the Seamus Heaney translation. Now, one thing to notice about this, there are no page numbers. We're going to go by the line numbers right here. Okay? There are no page numbers. We're going to go by the line numbers. That's what we're going to use. So what you should be doing right away is jump in on that podcast, okay, and then jump in here and start going through The Wanderer and then through Beowulf. Beowulf, many of you have read already in high school. Many of you have. You may or may not have read the Seamus Heaney translation. It is a magnificent translation. I do believe most people would agree with me when I say it is absolutely the best one. Okay, and again, it's free. So this is out there on the internet, but it is free. You don't have to pay a dime. But again, notice there's no page numbers. If you get passages that are very important to you, you can hold on to them, but hold on to the line numbers. Okay, and so I would like you to jump in on that as soon as you can, and we'll be going through the quizzes pretty darn soon. Let me close that up. Boom. Okay. And so that's the general setup of the course. You can work either through pages, let me go back to home, or through the modules. My advice, if you're working in modules, if you're working on your phone, work through the modules, okay? If you're working on a computer, most students do actually like to work through the pages since it's a little more visual, right? Now let's jump into the syllabus. You go up here. Let me show you one last little thing. Right below me, these are the to-do things. This is based on the calendar. A good idea to keep an eye on the calendar and on the grades because that's where your assignments are listed. Keep an eye on the calendar and on the grades. You will make sure you move through the class in a good manner. You won't miss things if you keep an eye on the calendar and the grades. Everything is listed. In the modules and on the pages, everything is. But keep an eye also on the calendar and on the grades, and it will, keep you honest on make sure you don't miss anything, right? And I do want to emphasize, every 2 weeks is a unit. So the first unit is the medieval unit, and that takes 2 weeks. Then the next unit is the Renaissance unit, and that takes 2 weeks. The last unit is the American Literature unit, and that takes 2 weeks. That gets us to the end of the winter session. But now let's go into the syllabus for a bit, and I'll try to walk through that as fast as I can. You can click on this image right here, or you can click on the syllabus right here. Okay, let's go ahead and click on the image and see if it works. And here it is. This is the syllabus for Winter 23. This is English Composition and Literature. It's a 3-unit course. There's our section number. And I'm Joseph Pendleton, and my office hours will be from 12:30 to 1:30 through Zoom. I showed you that link on the home page. And the winter session starts today, January 3rd. Martin Luther King Day, we get off in the middle of actually a couple of weeks. And then it ends on February 11th. It does move rapidly. It moves very rapidly, okay? These are going to be the textbooks. I am going to give you everything you need on PDF. So you do not need to purchase anything, okay? Here's the course description. English 102 reviews the principles and methods of expository writing you learned in English 101. You should have passed English 101. In fact, it's a prerequisite to get into this course. I won't cover all the details of MLA nor of writing and paragraphing. I'll cover a good deal of them, but you should know those from English 101. And explores many of the most influential texts in English literature. In literary theory from throughout the world. We will go through a few literary theories to give us insights into the text, to show us how they work at a deeper level. Okay, but we're going to go through Beowulf first for the medieval literature, and we are also going to cover some Chaucer stories from the Canterbury Tales. Those you will not be able to write on. You'll just need to do some quizzes on them. Okay. I want you writing on Beowulf since we're going to do that first, and I want to make sure you have time to jump in on it. Okay. Then we're going to do Shakespeare, and we're going to do Midsummer Night's Dream. Okay. And then the last one, we're going to do a selection of American poets, Whitman and Dickinson. And then we're going to move to some of the writers from the Harlem Renaissance in the 20th century. Okay. So we'll get through a good deal of literature and get a good idea of what the English language has contributed to us. So the session covers 3 separate units in the English literature beginning with the medieval period, that's Beowulf, and proceeds through the Renaissance, that's Shakespeare, and Romantic periods, well, we're going to get a little bit on that. And then we're going to get to the literature of America and how we're a little bit distinct from the British, but how we share a good deal with them. Okay. These are the objectives. You can read these over and give them a go. That's what we will be doing. These, I'll tell you this, they don't make too much sense at the start of the semester. They will make a lot of sense by the end. Okay. These are the outcomes, same type of thing. They won't make much sense now, but by the end they will. I will go over these with you at the end. Here are the assignments. So 3 essays of 4 to 6 pages are due this session. 3 essays, 3 units, 4 to 6 pages each essay. That's what we're doing. Okay. You got it. That's the backbone of it. The class is a little bit unique in that I do require an early draft stage and a middle draft stage. And I have a very set pattern for how I want you to go through the early draft and through the middle draft, because we do something called analysis, and this draft process guides you through what analytical thinking is. Okay. We will do a journal for participation, and that works with the discussions primarily. Okay, now a quick statement on accessibility. If you're working with the Access Center and you need me to adjust anything, just get a hold of me and I will make any reasonable accommodation they request. Just send me a note. Again, you should be working through the Access Center, and we'll get you taken care of. All right. And here are the the essays, the rough drafts, and the discussions. And the quizzes also are a little bit unique about this class. They are very challenging. They are quite challenging, but I allow you to take each and every one of the quizzes 3 times. If you put in what could be called a good faith effort on the quizzes and get the drafts done, you're going to do really well in the class. You will. It's a good faith effort. You don't have to be a strong writing student when you come into this class. Put in a good faith effort. Make sure you set aside enough time. You'll do all right. Okay. Here are the grade percentages. Just make darn sure with attendance you're logging in and taking care of the lessons, both the readings and the videos, on a regular, continuous basis. Not just 10 minutes here or 5 minutes there, but give yourself an hour or 2 each day working on this class to get through it. And some of you might read a little more quickly than others. Some might read a little more slowly. I personally am a slow reader. You should keep pace with the class, whatever your pace is. Okay. And just a quick note on plagiarism and cheating. Just don't. I am pretty quick about catching this, and I can tell it pretty quickly. It results in an automatic 0 for that assignment, and it's almost certain you cannot pass the class if you have a 0. Okay. Just class decorum means you just treat the class with respect. You know what that is. We're all adults here. The big thing I do want to emphasize here is good faith effort. And let me blow myself up here. Put in a decent effort. Do your best with it. You will improve with your writing. It will improve. Okay. You will get better and stronger at your writing as you go through the semester. You're going to see how you're going to improve bit by bit. And I've designed the rough drafts and the middle drafts and the final versions so that as you improve, they'll be worth more points as we go through. Okay, the essays are worth 100, and then 150, then 200. Notice that the essays go up in value as we go through the semester. As you become a stronger student, the value of the assignments goes up. So good faith effort as you work through the semester is going to take care of you very well. So jump in on this, guys. Follow that first broadcast on the nature of Old English society and how it was really facing a crisis. And then go jump in and do The Wanderer. I'll have a video posted on that momentarily. And then jump into Beowulf. Really put your back into Beowulf. That's the longest piece, and that's what we'll be writing our first essay on, okay? I'm very pleased to meet everybody here. Keep in touch, and we'll get you through this semester. All right? Take care, you guys.